The nights in Chu City always carry a hint of mystery and solitude. Moonlight showers the silver-white cityscape, as if everything is cloaked in a gentle frost. On such a night, the IceRose of her heart, Chu Xue, quietly sits at the piano, her slender fingertips gently touching the keys, elegant yet cold. Her home is in the most luxurious villa area to the north of the city, also the loneliest golden cage. Whenever the night deepens and her wealthy father and socialite mother are once again absent from her life, the piano music becomes her only companion. Suddenly, a sharp doorbell rings, disrupting the tranquility. Chu Xue frowns, wondering who would visit at this hour. She slowly walks to the door, hesitating, not wanting to open it, but ultimately turns the lock. Standing outside is a tall man, her childhood friend she hasn't seen for years, Gu Shen. His appearance, like a cold wind, blows away the frost in Chu Xue's heart, bringing an unknown tremor. Shen, why are you here? Chu Xue tries to mask her surprise and agitation. Gu Shen smiles slightly, his smile hiding unnoticeable sorrow. Instead of answering, he asks, Xue, do you still remember our dream? Chu Xue's heart tightens. They once dreamed of leaving the city for a distant island, to see the vast ocean and the free sky, but that was a long time ago. She turns away, her voice trembling slightly. Dreams are always just dreams. Gu Shen steps inside, looking around the luxurious decor of a home without warmth, but I have never forgotten, nor given up. Chu Xue purses her lips, struggling internally. Gu Shen's appearance has stirred the ice in her heart, but she knows she is no longer the naive dreamer she once was. Give it up, Shen, we are no longer the children we used to be. Her words cut through Gu Shen's hope like a knife. He steps closer, his gaze firm and deep. I refuse. Chu Xue suddenly turns, defiance in her eyes. You know, even if you don't give up, the world will make you. Gu Shen looks at her, his deep affection vast as the sea. Even if the world wants me to give up, I will take you back from its hands. Her heart trembles, the buried emotions touched, but she quickly reverts to coldness. You don't understand, Gu Shen. You don't know what I've endured these years. Then tell me, let me understand. He steps forward, wanting to hold her hand. Chu Xue retreats sharply, losing balance and falling towards the piano. Gu Shen quickly moves to support her, but she coldly pushes him away. You don't need to pity me. Chu Xue looks up, her gaze piercing through Gu Shen's heart. I am just an IceRose at the heart's tip, beautiful but untouchable. Gu Shen falls silent, knowing Chu Xue's heart has turned to ice, and he, perhaps, can only quietly wait by her side. Moonlight streams through the window, casting her beauty in relief, like the IceRose, cold yet desperate. And this night's meeting is both a reunion and a silent farewell. As spring warms, the snow in Chu City finally begins to melt, the dripping sounds echoing in the quiet streets. Chu Xue stands by her bedroom window, gazing at the flower bed outside, where the frozen roses are slowly awakening under the kiss of the spring breeze. Her heart, since Gu Shen left that night, holds an unwillingness to admit emptiness. He left her a wilted rose and a clear message, don't let your heart freeze forever. She touches the words with trembling fingers. That night's scene seems to have planted something in her heart. But she quickly turns away, reminding herself not to be weak again. That afternoon, a new project at the company forces her to go out. The spring sun and breeze are comforting on the streets. She enters a cafe to organize her files. Miss Chu, this way, please. A polite clerk guides her to a corner spot. Her gaze inadvertently sweeps the cafe, landing on a familiar figure. Isn't that Gu Shen? He's sitting by the window, laughing intimately with a woman. Chu Xue's heart tightens, a complex emotion spreading within her. She turns away, not wanting to see more, but the image sticks in her mind. She tries to focus on her work, but finds she can't read a single line. Gu Shen's smile, the woman's tenderness, why does it hurt her so much? Chu Xue unknowingly clenches her pen, doubting herself, could she really not let go of Gu Shen? She immediately shakes her head, scoffing at herself. Impossible. She stands to leave. As she passes their table, Gu Shen's gaze meets hers. Xue. He calls her, his voice tense. Chu Xue stops, not turning back. Is there something, Mr. Gu? The woman looks curiously at Chu Xue, her eyes probing. Gu Shen stands, facing Chu Xue's back. I want to talk to you about that night. There's nothing to talk about. Chu Xue cuts him off coldly. Please enjoy your date. Gu Shen falls silent. Chu Xue walks out of the cafe, his longing gaze on her back. Outside, the spring breeze caresses Chu Xue's face. She breathes deeply, trying to calm her emotions. She tells herself she is the IceRose, not to be thawed by the spring breeze. But her heart is no longer so sure. In the hurried steps away from the cafe, the warmth of the spring breeze seems to stir not a small wave in Chu Xue's heart. Despite trying to suppress the confusion of emotions, memories flood her like a tide. She returns to her spacious office, finding everything there tainted with the shadow of Gu Shen. The wilted rose on the desk and the note gently placed on the keyboard. Don't let your heart freeze forever. Remind her that Gu Shen is not just a passerby in her life. Chu Xue wants to escape all this, but finds nowhere to run. She dials a number, and the voice of her longtime friend and business partner, Ran, comes through. Xue, your voice sounds troubled? Ran's voice carries concern. Yes, I. Chu Xue hesitates, unable to say his name. Ran reassures her softly, whatever it is, I'm here for you. Chu Xue takes a deep breath, swallowing her inner turmoil. Thank you, Ran. I'm just tired. After hanging up, Chu Xue decides to take a walk to clear her mind. The bustling streets are filled with the joy of spring, couples hand in hand, friends laughing together, all of which seems unrelated to her. At a shop window, she spots a delicate IceRose sculpture. Transparent and pure, it's like the IceRose in her heart that will never melt. She can't help but enter, her fingers lightly touching the cold surface. Beautiful, isn't it? The shop owner's voice comes from behind, interrupting Chu Xue's thoughts. She nods, slightly startled. Yes, very beautiful. The owner, a genteel middle-aged man, looks into Chu Xue's eyes as if seeing through something. Every rose has its story. I believe you have yours, too? Chu Xue's eyes flicker with an imperceptible light. Everyone has stories hidden in their hearts. If you wish, this ice rose can be yours, the owner says with a smile. Chu Xue shakes her head. No, it should stay here, waiting for the one who can unravel its mystery of ice. Leaving the shop, Chu Xue feels somewhat lighter. She knows she can't always live in the shadow of the past, even though it unexpectedly appears in her life. But when she looks across the street and sees Gu Shen's familiar figure again, her heart quivers. He seems to notice her, their gazes meeting across the crowd. Chu Xue doesn't know why she stops, nor why there's a flicker of expectation in her heart. Gu Shen crosses the bustling crowd towards her, each step tugging at her heartstrings. Xue, can we talk? Gu Shen's voice is softer than the spring breeze. Chu Xue looks at him, feeling the ice in her heart begin to melt. All right, let's talk. Her voice is almost a whisper. They find a relatively quiet bench in a park, Gu Shen looking at her with undeniable sincerity. I know you have many misunderstandings about me. The girl in the cafe that day, she's my sister. Chu Xue's heart skips a beat, a wave of relief washing over her. She hadn't expected to feel so lightened by his explanation. They talk about many things, past memories, future dreams, and the present moment. With the gentle spring breeze and the faint fragrance of flowers, Chu Xue feels the walls around her heart begin to crack, almost imperceptibly. Chu Xue and Gu Shen sat on a park bench, their shadows elongated by the setting sun. The scenery around them began to be tinted with a soft golden hue, and the familiarity in their conversation made them lose track of time. Do you remember our secret garden from when we were kids? Gu Shen suddenly asked. Chu Xue was momentarily stunned, then found that place in the river of memory, hidden within an abandoned estate. It was their childhood secret base, filled with the wildest roses and the most unrestrained laughter. How could I forget? That was our utopia. A faint smile appeared on Chu Xue's lips. Gu Shen stood up, offering his hand. Let's go there once more. After a moment of hesitation, Chu Xue placed her trust in him. They walked along a path both familiar and strange, everything around Chu Xue reminding her that this was not just a physical distance, but also a journey through time. Passing through the mottled stone wall gate, the secret garden still retained its tranquility and beauty, though now more wild and sprawling. Under the old rose tree, the spot they once vowed to protect forever was now encircled by vines and wild grass. Gu Shen walked to the rose tree and said softly, back then, we made a promise here, no matter how life changes, we would not change our original intentions, remember? Chu Xue quietly walked over. She remembered those naive promises and the carefree days. I remember, but we are no longer the children we were, and so much has changed. Gu Shen looked at her intently, but some things haven't changed, like my feelings for you. Chu Xue's heart trembled lightly, and she looked up at the man, his eyes clear as if they could see through everything. You. He gently interrupted her, don't rush to respond. I just want to tell you, no matter what you become, my heart remains unchanged. As night fell, the roses in the secret garden began to release their fragrance. Gu Shen and Chu Xue stood silently in the garden, their understanding and gradually warming emotions communicated without words. In that moment, Chu Xue's heart felt as if it was illuminated by a gentle light, the icy barriers beginning to show cracks. She realized the garden was not just a carrier of memories, but also a haven for her soul. Gu Shen's voice rose again, I will wait for you, no matter how long it takes. Chu Xue looked at the secret garden, its forgotten corners, and the promises submerged by time. She suddenly understood Gu Shen's persistence, some things are worth waiting for. They stayed in the garden until the night fully descended, then left together. Walking home, Chu Xue felt a warmth and anticipation she had never experienced before. When Chu Xue returned home, the night was deep. The dim light in her room interwove with the moonlight outside, highlighting the solitary ice rose on the windowsill, her only rose cultivated outside the secret garden, a secret she had never shared with anyone. She approached the window, her hand gently touching the rose. Its petals appeared exceptionally clear under the moonlight, as if reflecting her current state of mind. A mysterious tear shone in her eyes, moved by Gu Shen, or unable to let go of the past. Chu Xue sat at the piano, beginning to play the song that belonged only to her and Gu Shen. As the notes leaped, sadness and joy intertwined into a poignant symphony. The music contained too many words, secrets she shared with the night sky without speaking. As the music faded, Chu Xue felt a sense of loneliness spreading. She thought of Gu Shen's words, he was willing to wait for her, willing to give her time. But could she truly step out of this frozen heart to accept the long-awaited warmth? Suddenly, a soft knock came from the door. Chu Xue stood up in surprise, not expecting anyone. She approached the door, took a deep breath, and slowly opened it. A tall figure stood outside, recognizable under the dim light as Gu Shen. He held a bouquet of fresh roses, smiling, I know it's sudden, but I really wanted to see you. Chu Xue didn't know what to say, her heartbeat quickening at the moment, a new sensation stirring within her chest. Before she could finish, Gu Shen gently interrupted her. No need to say anything. I just came to see you, to make sure you're okay. His voice was full of concern. Chu Xue silently opened the door wider, inviting him in. Gu Shen entered, placing the roses on the table. They sat on the sofa, Chu Xue nervous yet expectant, wondering what this unexpected night visit meant. Gu Shen's gaze fell on the ice. Rose on the windowsill, I've never seen such a beautiful rose. It's like you. Chu Xue responded softly, it represents my mood. Gu Shen took a deep breath and said slowly, then I wish to be the only one who can get close to it, even if it means waiting for that eternal moment. Tears reappeared in Chu Xue's eyes, but this time, it was because of deep understanding and acceptance. She knew her ice rose was beginning to melt, all because of Gu Shen's unwavering support. The night deepened, filling the room with a quiet and steady atmosphere. Gu Shen's presence, like a warm anomaly, disrupted Chu Xue's usual rhythm of life. They sat on the sofa, close enough to hear each other's breathing, the air filled with the scent of roses, in stark contrast to the silence of the lone ice rose on Chu Xue's windowsill. Chu Xue felt an unusual sense of comfort. Gu Shen's presence no longer made her nervous, but brought a long-missed peace instead. Her gaze involuntarily fell on Gu Shen's deep eyes, as if seeing the stars within them, bright and gentle. I always feel like you are the sunshine forgotten in the glacier, Gu Shen said softly, breaking the silence of the room. Chu Xue's icy barriers trembled slightly at these words. She tried to respond to this warmth, I have gotten used to the cold, Gu Shen. He gently shook his head, a firm light flashing in his eyes, but no one should get accustomed to darkness and cold, Chu Xue. Let me be your sunshine. In that moment, Chu Xue felt her heart walls start to shake, as if they were no longer impregnable. Gu Shen reached out, gently taking Chu Xue's hand. Their fingertips touched, bringing a warmth and a thrill like an electric current. Chu Xue looked up, her eyes swirling with complex emotions, surprise and exploration. She felt Gu Shen's warmth, a sensation she had never experienced before, like the spring breeze thawing frozen land, bringing the touch of life. Gu Shen softly yet firmly said to her, "No matter how long your heart has been frozen, I will patiently wait until the spring warmth blossoms." His words stirred ripples in Chu Xue's heart. She had never thought someone would be willing to stay so persistently in her world. His words were like the sunshine of spring, slowly melting the ice in her heart. After a moment of silence, Chu Xue softly said, I don't know if I will disappoint you." Gu Shen embraced her, his voice low and powerful. "As long as there's a chance, I'm willing to take that risk." They sat like that for a long time, until the first light of dawn broke through the sky. Warmth is not just a physical temperature, but a support for the soul. That night, Chu Xue's heart walls were once again gently invaded, and she gradually began to get used to this warmth. As the first light of dawn seeped into the room, the night-long conversation between Chu Xue and Gu Shen drew to a close. Gu Shen's visit undeniably added a warmth to Chu Xue's life, distinct from the usual. When he left behind not just the fragrant roses, but also a burgeoning emotion quietly growing in Chu Xue's heart. Standing at the window, watching Gu Shen's departing figure, Chu Xue felt a complex mix of emotions swirling within her, alongside an unprecedented sense of peace. Her hand, unconsciously touching the roses, seemed to convey Gu Shen's tenderness and resolve. Chu Xue had always shielded herself behind a wall of ice, using indifference and distance to protect herself from further hurt. However, Gu Shen's presence, like a ray of sunshine in spring, slowly melted that icy wall. In the days that followed, Chu Xue noticed subtle changes in her life. She found herself looking forward to every meeting with Gu Shen, whether accidental or planned. The long-missed warmth spread silently in her heart whenever she saw him. Gu Shen, sensing the softening of Chu Xue's defenses, became more proactive. Sometimes it was a simple afternoon tea, other times a walk at dusk, each encounter bringing them closer. Yet, doubts lingered in Chu Xue's heart. She feared this was all temporary, afraid of returning to her cold, lonely world. She feared commitments and, even more, the pain of loss. One day, Chu Xue found herself in the secret garden again, once a childhood paradise with Gu Shen, now a place to ponder the future. Under the old rose tree, she recalled every word, every promise Gu Shen had made. As Chu Xue was lost in thought, a warm hand gently rested on her shoulder. Turning around, she saw Gu Shen's serene smile. "I know what you're thinking, and I understand your worries." Gu Shen's voice was soft yet firm. "But I want you to know, my feelings for you won't change because of anything. I'm willing to give you time until you're ready." A whirlwind of emotion surged through Chu Xue, eventually crystallizing into a simple response, "Thank you, Gu Shen." At that moment, she realized what she truly feared was not starting afresh, but the lack of courage to face genuine feelings. Gu Shen's understanding and support, like a warm light, illuminated her path forward, gradually melting her inner defenses. With Gu Shen's patience and the gradual melting of Chu Xue's defenses, the scent of spring grew stronger. The garden's roses bloomed more vividly, as if cheering on their relationship. Chu Xue began to realize her feelings for Gu Shen went far beyond friendship, yet she remained fearful of the potentialities of this emotion. One sunny afternoon, Gu Shen invited Chu Xue to meet at his favorite bookstore. Hidden beside a bustling street, the quaint shop was filled with an artsy and cozy atmosphere. They wandered leisurely between shelves, sharing insights on books and life. That afternoon, the bookstore became their small world, fragrant with knowledge and the warmth of love. Sitting in the coffee corner of the bookstore, Gu Shen handed Chu Xue a beautifully bound collection of poems. "This is my favorite poet. I think his words will touch your heart." His eyes sparkled with anticipation. Chu Xue opened the collection, her eyes landing on a poem about love and hope. As she read, her eyes welled with tears. The verses seemed to strike her soul, conveying a warmth of being deeply understood. Gu Shen gently held her hand, offering a supportive look. Chu Xue lifted her gaze, their eyes meeting in a moment filled with an unprecedented sense of security and belonging. She realized that Gu Shen offered not just a promise of love but solace for her soul. "Gu Shen, I..." Chu Xue hesitated, her heart brimming with gratitude and tenderness. There's no need for words, Chu Xue. I can feel your heart, Gu Shen said tenderly, his gaze deep and affectionate. That day, Chu Xue fully opened her heart. In their little world within the bookstore, they shared secrets and dreams of the future. As the setting sun filled the shop with its glow, their hearts intertwined even more closely. That night, Chu Xue wrote in her diary, "Today, I felt the temperature of love. It's warm and gentle, convincing me that no matter how vast the world is, there's someone who can be your shelter. Thank you, Gu Shen, for being my sunshine." From then on, Chu Xue was no longer afraid to face her feelings. She bravely accepted Gu Shen's love and learned to reciprocate with equal affection. Their relationship matured through mutual understanding and support, blossoming through spring and welcoming the fervor of summer. Chapter 9. As time passed, the relationship between Chu Xue and Gu Shen became more stable. Every interaction was filled with tenderness and understanding, as if they were destined for each other. At the turn from spring to summer, the city was covered in new greenery and blooms, the air scented with flowers and renewal. One evening, Gu Shen took Chu Xue to a rose garden on the outskirts of the city. The garden was in full bloom, vibrant and fragrant. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the path. Holding Chu Xue's hand, Gu Shen whispered, "I want to create a special memory for us here." As they strolled through the rose garden, Gu Shen suddenly stopped, pulling out a small, exquisite box from his pocket. Chu Xue watched in surprise as he opened it to reveal a uniquely designed ring, softly glowing. With deep affection in his eyes, Gu Shen slowly said, "Chu Xue, from the moment I met you, my world has been different. You are like sunshine in winter, illuminating my life. I want to spend the rest of my life protecting and loving you. Chu Xue, will you marry me?" This sudden proposal. At that moment, Chu Xue's heart beat fiercely, her vision blurred except for Gu Shen's expectant eyes, clear amidst the roses and sunlight. His proposal, a gentle warmth, dispelled all her hesitations and fears. Taking a deep breath, tears of happiness slid down Chu Xue's cheeks. She nodded, her voice soft yet resolute, "I will." A spark lit up in Gu Shen's eyes as he gently placed the ring on Chu Xue's finger, pausing the world around them. Their embrace and kiss, amidst the fragrance of roses, the afterglow of sunset, and a gentle breeze, became the most beautiful testimony to the moment. Following the proposal, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's life was filled with sweetness and bliss. They busily prepared for their wedding, pouring their hopes for future life into every detail. During those days, Chu Xue's understanding of love deepened. It was about acceptance, understanding, and the promises made to each other. Finally, they chose a beautiful day for the wedding, held in the place of their shared memories, the secret rose garden. Surrounded by friends and family, the couple's transformation from lovers to spouses was witnessed. On her wedding day, Chu Xue, in her carefully chosen dress, shone as the brightest rose in the garden. Gu Shen, in his immaculate suit, kept his eyes fixed on her, filled with pride and happiness. As they walked through the rose garden, exchanging vows, it seemed as if all the flowers were blessing them. Chu Xue felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and joy, knowing she had found the one to walk through life with. After the wedding, standing hand in hand in the rose garden watching the sunset, Chu Xue leaned on Gu Shen's shoulder and whispered, "Thank you, Gu Shen. With you, my world is complete." Gu Shen hugged her tightly, responding softly, "Chu Xue, it's you who taught me the meaning of love. I promise, no matter what the future holds, I'll be with you, forever." As the sunset stretched their shadows long, like narrating an everlasting love story, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's hearts were tightly linked. They knew this was their heart's wish, to walk through every season together, till the end of time. In the days following their wedding, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's life was filled with happiness and harmony. They experienced many firsts together, their first trip as a married couple, their first dinner cooked together, and even their first reconciliation after a petty argument. Each moment became part of their collective memory, strengthening their bond. Over time, Chu Xue found herself fully adapting to life with Gu Shen. She began to let go of past shadows, learning to be more open and trust others. Gu Shen, consistently supportive and loving, made her feel incredibly safe and satisfied. One spring afternoon, Chu Xue sat in their garden with a book in hand. Her gaze wasn't on the pages, but often drifted to the blooming roses in front. These roses, carefully chosen and planted by Gu Shen, each represented his love for her. Suddenly, a particularly unique rose caught her attention, a distinctive double-flowered rose gleaming in the sunlight as if winking at Chu Xue. She felt a stir in her heart. This rose seemed to embody the beauty of rebirth and hope. She approached, gently touching the rose's petals, feeling a warm sensation. Just then, Gu Shen came over, smiling at seeing Chu Xue by the special rose. This rose, like our love, is unique. After enduring the cold of winter, it welcomes the rebirth of spring. Chu Xue turned, meeting Gu Shen's loving gaze, her heart filled with gratitude. Yes, Gu Shen, with you, my world is so beautiful. Gu Shen took Chu Xue's hand, placing a small box in it. This is a little gift for you. Curiously, Chu Xue opened the box, to find a delicate rose-shaped pendant, softly glowing. Each rose tells a story, and this rose represents our rebirth and future, Gu Shen spoke tenderly. Moved, Chu Xue embraced Gu Shen, knowing she had fully stepped out of the shadows into a new chapter of life with him. With Gu Shen's love and support, she bloomed like the reborn rose, radiating an unprecedented glow. From then on, Chu Xue and Gu Shen continued to grow in love and hope, like the reborn rose, hand in hand, ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing love could overcome anything. In the light of love, even the coldest winter melts into the warmth of spring. As time passed, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's life was filled with warmth and harmony. They faced life's ups and downs together, each challenge strengthening their bond. However, on a cold winter day, Chu Xue encountered an unexpected trial that tested not just her love for Gu Shen, but also a deep exploration of her own heart. That day, Chu Xue received a call from an old friend she hadn't seen in years, bringing shocking news. Gu Shen had experienced a failed marriage years ago, a past filled with secrets never mentioned to Chu Xue. The shock Chu Xue felt was indescribable. She had always believed there were no secrets between her and Gu Shen, their love founded on complete understanding and trust. This news hit her like a cold wave, instantly freezing her heart. She found herself alone in the secret rose garden, standing before the frost-covered roses in winter, feeling an unprecedented loneliness and confusion. She couldn't understand why Gu Shen had hidden such a crucial part of his past, her heart filled with doubts and unrest. When Gu Shen realized something was amiss with Chu Xue, he knew he had to confront his past and the potential hurt it could cause her. He found Chu Xue, ready to confess everything with a sincere yet anxious heart. Under the cold moonlight, Gu Shen recounted his sealed history. His voice was filled with regret and pain, each word hammering Chu Xue's heart. Yet, through his confession, Chu Xue saw his reflection on the past and his commitment to the future. Faced with Gu Shen's confession, Chu Xue struggled. Forgiveness was not easy, but she understood everyone had a past, and what mattered was cherishing the present. After some reflection, Chu Xue chose to forgive Gu Shen, believing love could overcome everything, including shadows of the past. That winter, Chu Xue and Gu Shen spent their most memorable season together. Their relationship grew stronger through the confession, realizing that understanding and acceptance were paramount in the world of love. From then on, no matter the difficulties and challenges, Chu Xue and Gu Shen faced them hand in hand, knowing that with love in their hearts, nothing was insurmountable. In the glow of love, even the coldest winter melted into the warmth of spring. Chu Xue's decision led to a period of tranquility, and her relationship with Gu Shen seemed to solidify after their honest conversation. Yet, deep within, Chu Xue harbored lingering doubts. She pondered whether perfection in love was merely an illusion and if true affection was always accompanied by flaws and challenges. One day, walking alone on a winter forest path, each breath in the cold wind reminded her that despite the world's beauty, life's storms were unavoidable. She mulled over her future with Gu Shen, filled with complex emotions. She recalled the time spent together, the moments of joy and warmth and their shared courage to overcome difficulties. Chu Xue realized she sought not a flawless love, but a haven where they could shelter each other after all the storms. Wandering, she arrived at an open space covered with thin snow, where the cold air carried a hint of freshness. Looking up, the winter sun broke through the thin clouds, warming her face with its rays. Just then, Gu Shen appeared at the end of the path, holding a bouquet, his face adorned with a warm smile. Seeing him, Chu Xue felt an indescribable mix of comfort, reliance, and deep love. Gu Shen approached, handing her the flowers, and softly said, no matter the uncertainties of the future, I wish to face them with you. Accepting the flowers, Chu Xue's eyes brimmed with tears. At that moment, all her doubts seemed to find answers. She understood that true love wasn't about the absence of doubts or challenges, but the willingness to walk through them hand in hand. Embraced, the world around them seemed to pause. Chu Xue hugged Gu Shen tightly, whispering, "With you, no doubt is too great." From that day forward, Chu Xue never felt lost or uncertain again. Together with Gu Shen, they forged their future with love and trust, ready to face any difficulty or challenge side by side. In their love story, the doubts before the thaw ultimately transformed into unwavering trust and support. As Chu Xue and Gu Shen's mutual understanding and trust deepened, their relationship, tested by ice and fire, became unbreakable. Chu Xue learned to find strength in Gu Shen's love and support, while he saw the beauty of life in her gentleness and resilience. Their love, having endured the cold of winter and the heat of summer, blossomed into a beautiful landscape. On a special weekend, Gu Shen planned a trip to the small town where they first met. This town held extraordinary significance for them, witnessing the start of their love and holding every shared memory. The town retained its tranquility and beauty, with cobblestone streets, ancient buildings, and the river that had been the backdrop to many significant moments. Strolling through, reminiscing about the past, every familiar scene drew their hearts closer. By the river, Gu Shen stopped, presenting Chu Xue with a small, exquisite box. Curious, she opened it to find a pair of beautifully crafted necklaces, one shaped like ice crystals, the other like flames. Gu Shen looked at her deeply. "These symbolize our love, customized for us. Ice and fire represent everything we've been through. Neither the cold tests nor the heat of passion can stop our love for each other." Chu Xue was moved beyond words. She looked up at Gu Shen, her eyes filled with gratitude and love. She understood that every action of his was a testament to their cherished love. Side by side by the river, watching the sunset and the beautiful sky, it seemed as if nature was crowning their love. In that moment, Chu Xue and Gu Shen deeply felt that their love's resilience stemmed from mutual understanding, support, and unwavering commitment. Life flowed quietly in its ordinariness, with Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love shining extraordinarily in simplicity. They knew that with love in their hearts, even the coldest winter felt warm, even the hottest summer had its coolness. In the ice and fire of love, Chu Xue and Gu Shen wrote their legendary tale, a story of brave love and being loved. They knew that, no matter the difficulties and challenges ahead, as long as they leaned on each other, nothing was insurmountable. As time passed, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's life blossomed beautifully, their relationship aging like fine wine. They learned to find small joys in their busy lives, making every shared moment precious. On a leisurely weekend, Gu Shen suggested a special experiment to explore if their heartbeats could synchronize. Intrigued by this romantic and scientific idea, Chu Xue eagerly accepted the challenge. They prepared 2 heart rate monitors, wearing them on their wrists, to start the experiment. Initially sitting at opposite ends of the sofa, they closed their eyes, breathed deeply, and relaxed. Gradually, Gu Shen moved closer to Chu Xue until they were sitting shoulder to shoulder. They began to share recent thoughts, work achievements, challenges, and hopes for the future. As their conversation deepened, they discovered not only their spirits drawing closer, but their heartbeats beginning to magically align. Finally, sitting face to face, looking into each other's eyes, and sharing their deepest feelings, the monitors showed their heartbeats had perfectly synchronized. This surprising and joyful outcome proved their deep connection, even beyond what they had imagined. Gu Shen held Chu Xue's hand, tenderly saying, "See, even science proves how closely our hearts are linked." Chu Xue smiled, moved, resting on Gu Shen's shoulder. "This shows that no matter how the world changes, our hearts beat as one." This little experiment added fun and deepened their understanding and trust. Chu Xue and Gu Shen knew their synchronized heartbeats were not just a physiological phenomenon but the most genuine proof of love. From then on, they cherished each other even more, believing that as long as their hearts beat in unison, they could overcome any life challenge. With their heartbeats' rhythm, Chu Xue and Gu Shen continued weaving their love story, each day filled with love's melody. They believed that as long as this harmony and synchrony between their hearts remained, their future would be even brighter. Chu Xue and Gu Shen's story, much like the seasons they experienced together, had transitioned from the blooming spring to a fruitful autumn. Their love, having faced countless tests and tribulations, became stronger and purer. They learned how to find strength in each other and courage in their love to move forward. On a golden autumn afternoon, Gu Shen took Chu Xue to a place they had never visited together, a greenhouse hidden deep in the mountains, home to various rare plants. Hand in hand, they walked through the greenhouse's paths, admiring the unique charm of these exotic flora. Reaching the heart of the greenhouse, Gu Shen directed Chu Xue's attention to a specially cared-for glass display. Inside, a unique rose bloomed quietly, its petals a soft blue with a center that shimmered like ice crystals, sparkling with clarity. It was an IceRose, a rare flower said to grow only in the coldest regions. Gu Shen, seeing Chu Xue's amazed expression, explained softly, "This IceRose represents resilience and purity. It can thrive in the most." Spring returned to Chu Xue and Gu Shen's world, bringing life and hope to all. In this season, their love entered a new phase, like the IceRose that had persevered through winter, now blooming brilliantly in the spring breeze. Chu Xue sat in their home garden, absorbed in a book about the legend of the IceRose. Gu Shen quietly approached, holding a freshly bloomed flower, the rare IceRose they had seen in the greenhouse. "See, spring really can make anything possible," Gu Shen whispered, placing the pot in front of Chu Xue. The IceRose shimmered in the sunlight, symbolizing the fortified aspects of their love after trials. Looking up into Gu Shen's tender gaze, Chu Xue was deeply moved. Yes, as long as there is love in the heart, nothing is impossible. The melting of spring was not just the warming of the earth, but also the thawing of their hearts. Gu Shen took Chu Xue by the hand, leading her to the center of the garden, where flowers they had nurtured together bloomed, each representing their memories and hopes. They danced among the flowers, twirling with the breeze and fragrance. This vibrant spring witnessed the growth of Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love, believing that as long as they faced the future together, they could overcome any difficulty and challenge. The story of spring continued, elevating Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love in this season. Their life became richer because of each other, their love like the garden's beautiful blooms, enduring the cold of winter to welcome the splendor of spring. Under the spring sun, Chu Xue and Gu Shen stood together, knowing that no matter how long the road ahead, they would walk it hand in hand, heart to heart. In this hopeful season, their love, awakened by the spring breeze, blossomed into its most beautiful form. As spring deepened, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love, like the blooming flowers in their garden, was vibrant and full of life. Their lives were enveloped in love, every day brimming with sweetness and happiness. One day, Chu Xue discovered a rose sapling in the garden she hadn't noticed before. Planted next to the IceRose Gu Shen had sown for her, it was thought that winter would hinder its growth, yet it quietly sprouted and showed the tenacity of life in spring. Excited, Chu Xue called Gu Shen to witness the growth of this rose. Gu Shen smiled, "This is like our love, tested by winter, yet growing stronger in spring." To celebrate the blooming of this rose, Gu Shen decided to prepare a special surprise for Chu Xue. He secretly contacted friends and family to organize a small garden party themed around the heart's tip rose for the weekend. On the day of the party, the weather was exceptionally sunny and warm. Chu Xue was led blindfolded to the garden by Gu Shen, and when she opened her eyes, she saw a beautifully decorated garden with the proudly blooming rose at its center. Surrounded by the smiling faces of friends and family, the air was filled with happiness and joy. Chu Xue was so moved she could hardly speak, embracing Gu Shen tightly, her eyes glistening with tears. Gu Shen whispered in her ear, "I hope our love, like this rose, blooms the most beautiful flowers, despite any difficulty." They danced together at the party, their figures moving through the garden like two hearts closely intertwined in this spring. At that moment, Chu Xue deeply felt the power of love, knowing that with Gu Shen by her side, her world was filled with endless possibilities. From then on, the heart's tip rose became a special symbol between Chu Xue and Gu Shen. It witnessed their love from winter to spring, from hope to rebirth, blooming into its most dazzling light. Over time, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's life, much like the diverse roses in their garden, blossomed into a rich tapestry of colors. Their days were filled with the warmth of love, each day bringing new stories, each story etching the depth and breadth of their affection. Chu Xue kept a beautifully crafted album of their love story, where flipping through each page revealed warm memories and special moments. In the latest addition to this album, Chu Xue decided to document the colors of roses and their meanings. One leisurely afternoon in the garden, Chu Xue suggested they complete this page together. Gu Shen agreed with a smile, and they began to discuss the special meanings behind each color of the roses. Red roses represent passionate love, much like the uncontrollable emotions we felt when we first met, Gu Shen said, selecting a photo of them among red roses for the album. Pink roses symbolize gratitude and appreciation, thankful for the fate that brought us together, Chu Xue softly added. She sketched delicate pink roses, beside a small poem expressing her gratitude towards Gu Shen. Gu Shen continued, yellow roses stand for friendship and care. We're not just lovers, but best friends. He found a photo capturing their laughter in the sunlight, perfectly embodying their camaraderie and understanding. Finally, Chu Xue said, white roses signify purity and respect. My love for you is pure and filled with reverence. She carefully chose a photo of them walking hand in hand along a path of white roses, placing it gently on the album's last page. After completing the page, Chu Xue and Gu Shen sat quietly on a garden bench, sharing a smile filled with happiness and contentment. Chu Xue's album not only chronicled every step of their love, but also reflected the profound emotions they held for each other. As the evening sun cast its golden light on the album, Chu Xue and Gu Shen knew their story was still unfolding. In the days ahead, their love would bloom like the roses in the album, revealing even more beautiful and unique colors. After many springs, summers, autumns, and winters, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love story, like the roses in their garden that withstood the test of time, did not fade but grew more vivid and fragrant. Their life together proved that true love withstands the test of time, shining extraordinarily in everyday life. Chu Xue and Gu Shen decided to celebrate their anniversary with a special event, commemorating the years they had journeyed together and the moments still to come. They planned a small garden party in their backyard, inviting friends and family to share in the fragrance of their love. On the day of the party, the garden was exceptionally beautiful, with lights and floral scents, creating a warm, romantic atmosphere. The table was laden with delicacies prepared by Chu Xue, each dish unique and filled with her affection for Gu Shen and their guests. Amidst the laughter and chatter of their guests, Chu Xue and Gu Shen, hand in hand, stepped to the center of the garden. Clearing his throat, Gu Shen began to recount their love story, from their first meeting to falling in love and overcoming life's challenges together, touching every guest with every detail. Chu Xue also shared her journey, how she grew from a girl haunted by shadows of the past into a strong, independent woman with Gu Shen's support. Her words were filled with deep love and gratitude for Gu Shen. As night fell, Chu Xue and Gu Shen lit a love wish lantern in the garden's center, making beautiful wishes for their future. As the lantern ascended, the garden was enveloped in a warm glow, the guests moved by the profound love, extending their best wishes to Chu Xue and Gu Shen. After the party, Chu Xue and Gu Shen sat quietly in the garden, enjoying the serenity of their own world. Chu Xue, nestled in Gu Shen's embrace, whispered, "With you, I have everything." Gu Shen held Chu Xue tightly, softly replying, "And with you, my world is perfect." On that special night, Chu Xue and Gu Shen's love, like every rose in the garden, emitted a unique and enduring fragrance. They believed that as long as they were together, no matter how long the road ahead, they would walk it hand in hand, heart to heart, moving forward.